Hi there, I'm John of John's Carnivorous Plants, and this is my indoor nursery. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to take care of a dormant pinguicula, which is a kind of a mysterious topic for most growers, but is rather easy, short, and sweet. So, generally speaking, dormancy is caused by temperature and lighting decreases as we go into winter, and the plants will be marked by dormancy because their leaves will get very, very small, they'll get very tight and compact in their rosettes, and they generally speaking look a lot more like a much smaller succulent. So like your very large ping might regress very quickly down to a very small size. And some of the tropical pings, like the Mexican pings, will reduce their size in winter, but not necessarily make a full-on uh, rosette that, some of the other pings do. Now, there are some that form hibernaculum or will like die back to a bulb. That very similar also, once again triggered by temperature, lighting, and watering. So whenever a ping goes dormancy, they still need water, but they need a lot less. If you have a lot of moisture still present, it can build up in the central rosette, especially as they're much more dense. And this is a survival strategy because in some of these areas where these pings are going dormant, particularly the ones that form tight rosettes as opposed to making a hibernaculum or a bulb or whatnot, they'll want to still get water from dew and moisture in the air. And because of that, in cultivation, they can rot out rather quickly because of that, especially if you're giving them a normally humid environment like a typical tropical ping would enjoy. So because of that, slightly less water, but they still need water. Now, in the dormant phase, they still require a normal amount of light. And I know a lot of people don't like to see their pings go dormant, but generally speaking, it is a combo of light and temperature. So if you're changing your light cycle, you have a much higher chance of seeing them go dormant, as well as like if you change your lights around, that can trigger dormancy sometimes. So like giving it a new brighter light or something else, for whatever reason, just the change of lighting will very quickly shock them. So feeding should be reduced, especially if like they are one of the species that they have no active carnivorous portion, just cut off feeding altogether. There's some species that look pretty much just like a regular succulent whenever they're in their winter phase, and because of that, just don't even feed it. Let it do its thing for a few months. Some of them still, you'll see the the glands for the sensile gland for the carnivory going on in the species that will still appreciate feeding. However, some of them, like Medicina and Planifolia, will just die all the way back to a bulb, have no leaves available, no need to feed that until it breaks dormancy. But the biggest thing though is consistent care. Keep the environment very consistent, and hopefully whatever trigger will trigger again. So if it was temperature in your setup because of seasonal fluctuation, because you live in a temperate area, generally speaking in the spring as temperatures rise and you go into summer, you'll start seeing all your pings break their dormancy. If it was lighting because you're using, like you have your plants on a windowsill, maybe you have a light over top of them or something, as the seasons change, once again, should generally change it. If your plant will not break dormancy, keep conditions consistent. Try raising the temperature slightly, or try giving it a little bit more moisture or humidity, maybe a little bit more light, like another extra hour or so. And don't try these all at once. Do one, give it 2 weeks, see what happens. Keep moving through the different triggers, and eventually you will find the one very specific one that it was looking for. So it's like either light, temperature, humidity, and it'll eventually break. It's kind of funny. Some of them can last, about a year or two, and you just won't ever see it break the dormancy. Just one day you'll come down, look at it, and suddenly, it's broken. It's out. It's growing again, and it's very fun and random. So it's just one of those joys of growing pings sometimes if you got a stubborn one that just don't want to break. But I think that's a future video. that I'm going to make and talk a little bit more in depth about. If you enjoyed this one, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future videos, put them down in the comments below. If you want to talk plants, join the Carnivorous Plant Discord in the description. If you want to buy a plant from me directly, please go to my website. It's also in the description. It helps me out a lot and supports the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Happy growing, and see you on the next one.